All right. I think we're broadcasting now on Zoom and YouTube. And Mr. Freeman, you're nodding your head. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, good. All right. All right. You don't want to bring out Mr. Farley? Just 1 second. There seems to be extra pages in the plea form on count 2. Please. Oh, maybe they're just out of order. No, it's all right. Well, I have 2 signature pages.
Is that for the okay, this was the one that they're the same thing. We thought one of them was missing, so we made another.
That's fine. You can have that one stage back. Y'all may bring Mr. Farley forward. Yeah, the mark's fine. Just everybody speak up. All right, let me call this case, and then what I'm going to do is flip this laptop around so that if folks are watching this through YouTube or through Zoom, then they'll be able to see everybody. They don't need to see me. So let me call the case first. Call is number 17518, State versus Aubrey Farley. Let the record reflect the defendant is in front of me in custody, the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office with counsel, Mr. Irwin. Also, Ms. Bullock is here on behalf of the state. This court is broadcasting this through the Zoom program and through YouTube for the folks that could not make it here. I just want to caution everybody, unauthorized recording of this is prohibited by our local rules. This court does not allow folks to record it. The only official recording that'll take place is by the official court reporter. So please, nobody record this. So I will turn this around now. And Ms. Tommy, if you could. Let me know.
So there were a few judges, just one that I could see.
I think everybody has turned off their
I see.
camera, so that
Forgot
threw me
me
off.
a little bit.
All right. We're going to take up count one. Well, is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Ron.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
We are.
All right, we'll take up count one. You are in cause number 17518. You are Mr. Aubrey Farley. Is that correct? All right, Mr. Farley, I'm going to have you sworn in. So the best you can, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, if you'll speak up, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, you can lower your hand. You are one and the same individual that is charged with a 2-count indictment in cause 17518 with intoxication, manslaughter, both in count 1 and count 2. Is that correct? All right. You are, as I mentioned, in custody of the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office at this time. Is that correct? Have you received a copy of this indictment at least 2 days before today? All right. Do you need me to read this indictment, or do you waive the reading of the indictment? Okay. You don't need me to read it to you. All right. I do not want to know, Mr. Farley, about your communications with your counsel. Those are attorney-client privilege communications, so I'm not asking that. But have you had sufficient time to go over all these allegations in this cause with your attorney? And Mr. Irwin, I'll ask you, have you had sufficient time to go over everything with your client?
I have and we have.
All right. And do you have an opinion as to whether or not your client is in fact competent to enter a plea today?
He's confident, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Farley, you understand you have a right to have a jury trial. You have a right to have 12 folks come in and decide whether you're guilty of any charged offense beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand that? You also understand that your attorney would be able to confront those witnesses against you. That is, he would be able to question them about their testimony. You also understand that this is a second-degree felony. If found guilty of this, you could receive anywhere between 2 years and up to 20 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and/or a $10,000 fine. All right. Mr. Farley, I'm going to have your attorney show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Once again, for count 1. Do you recognize that document? And as soon as he flips to the page, is that your signature on that document? Did you sign that document freely and voluntarily? You understand by signing that document that you're waiving the constitutional rights that I was talking about, the right to a jury trial, the right of confrontation, and the other rights that are contained in this document. All right. Does the state wish to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
State offers.
Objection.
There being no objection, State's Exhibit number 1 is admitted. Mr. Farley, Section 6 of State's Exhibit number 1 is entitled Plea Agreement. Looking this over, it's my understanding in return for a plea of guilty to count 1 that the state's recommending 15 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Credit for the time that you have built up on this offense It's to run concurrent or at the same time as count two. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement? You understand any plea agreement, it's not binding on me. If I don't want to follow the plea agreement, I do not have to follow it. Do you understand that? You understand if I do follow it, that's the deal that you get. You can't decide you want a jury trial, 6 months down the road. That won't be permitted. You understand that? I ask everybody this, Mr. Farley, are you a U.S. citizen, sir? All right. Mr. Farley, you also understand because of what's happening today under Texas law, you may be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition. Beginning today, possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read the written admonishment that's contained in State's Exhibit number 1 that has been provided to you to see what devices qualify as a firearm and that you are ineligible to possess. If you have any questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or questions about how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, I recommend you talk to your attorney or another attorney. Do you understand that? Now, knowing everything that we've gone over, is it still your desire to enter a plea to count 1, the offense, the second-degree felony offense of intoxication manslaughter? And I'll ask you at this time, how do you wish to plead to that offense, guilty or not guilty? The court will accept your plea of guilty. The court finds it was freely, voluntarily, and competently made. Both sides ready to proceed to sentencing?
State's ready.
Right. Both sides are ready. Mr. Farley, can you state any legal reason as to why I shouldn't proceed to sentencing at this time? All right. I am going to follow the plea agreement, Mr. Farley. I'm going to order, I hereby find you guilty of the felony offense of intoxication manslaughter. I sentence you to 15 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I order that you receive 551 days. And there are some court costs and reimbursement fees or whatever. I am going to allow your sentence, your incarceration sentence, your prison sentence, if you will, to cover those fees. So it's just the 15 years PDC with credit for 551 days. All right, now taking up count 2. Once again, you are the same individual, Mr. Aubrey Farley, that is charged in count 2 with the offense of intoxication manslaughter. Is that correct? You understand you still have, whether it's going on count 1 or count 2, constitutional right of jury trial, the constitutional right of confrontation. You understand all that? I'm going to have your attorney show you this plea of guilty, what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1 for count 2. Is that your signature on that document? And did you sign that document freely and voluntarily? And nobody forced you or threatened you to sign this or anything like that? All right. State offers State's Exhibit 1 for count 2.
State off.
Okay.
There be no objection. It is admitted. You have the same plea agreement in section 6. Mr. Farley, it looks like 15 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, plus credit for 551 days, and for it to run concurrent or at the same time as your 15-year sentence from count 1. Is that correct? And once again, I don't have to accept any plea agreement. If I wasn't going to accept it in count 1, I wouldn't accept it in count 2. But you understand, if I do accept it, that's the deal that you get. And for the purposes of count 2, you are a U.S. citizen. Is that correct? And once again, the firearm admonishment, because of what's happening today, Mr. Farley, under Texas law, you may be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition. Beginning now, possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read the written admonishment that is contained in State's Exhibit 1 that has been provided to you to see what devices qualify as a firearm and that you are ineligible to possess. If you have any questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or questions about how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, I recommend you talk to your attorney or another attorney. You understand that? And for both counts, Mr. Farley, are you in agreement that you have 551 days credit? Knowing everything that we've gone over for count 2, is it still your desire to enter a plea of guilty to the second-degree felony offense of intoxication manslaughter that is contained in count 2? And I will ask you at this time, to that offense, how do you wish to plead, guilty or not guilty? The court will accept your plea of guilty. The court finds that the plea of guilty for count 2 was freely, voluntarily, and competently done. Both sides ready to proceed to sentencing on count 2?
State's ready.
Right. Mr. Farley, can you state any legal reason as to why we shouldn't proceed to sentencing on count 2? All right, I am going to follow the plea agreement. I find you guilty of the offense of intoxication manslaughter. I hereby sentence you to 15 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I order that you receive the 551 days credit. I also order that it run concurrent or at the same time as the sentence that I just assessed against you in count 1. Anything else from the state? It's my understanding that we do have some impact statements, but anything else before we go off the record for those victim impact statements? Anything else from the defense?
No, sir, just wants to.
I do. If I could ask y'all folks, if I could have council table right there. Thank y'all. You all have a seat.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll go off the record.
Yes, please.
Ms. Connie, can you make sure, is that focused, the camera's focused, and you can have a seat now. Thank you. You may proceed, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd like to take time to thank the judge for allowing me to speak on behalf of my son, Marquise Lewis. My son Marquise was a vibrant and generous young man who was full of life and loved by many. His death has left a gaping hole in my life and the lives of those who love him. The pain of his absence is unimaginable. Its effects will be felt for the rest of my life. Every day I am reminded of the life he could have had, of the future that was taken away from him, his son, his wife, his brother, and me, his mother. His death is a tragedy that could have been prevented, and I struggle to make sense of it every day. I am struggling in this moment to find a way to move forward. I am constantly reminded of the senselessness of his death. His absence has left a void in my life that can never be filled. My son's future was robbed and his family and any chances to make a future in memories. Marquise was only a couple of years into his technical electrical career. He wanted to follow in the footsteps of his stepfather, Alan. He was also newly married and a new father. His wife had only given birth mere months earlier. He was barely able to live his life as an independent adult and just as quickly robbed of any opportunity to grow in it. He was so happy to find out his wife was having a child and that it was a boy. He had all these plans for what he was going to do with his son. He had it all mapped out. On July 17, 2021, he took Hakeem's father away from him. He was only 5 months old. He has no memories of the way his father held him, loved him. He will only have the stories and the few pictures and videos of him with his father during infants. Marquise never got to see his only child's first steps, his birthday at daycare, nor to see him graduate from high school or experience seeing him get married as he did. 15 years will never be enough for the life that he took. For the husband, the father, the son, the brother, uncle, and an upstanding man of the community he took from us. He was my son. He was my little dancer, my joy, my first introduction into unconditional love. The designated sentence will never again be enough to regain what we have lost. I cried daily knowing that this could have been avoided. I thought the sentence of his killer would bring me peace and closure, but it has only given me time to relive the last visual I have of my son. It was his hand. The death was so traumatic and so gruesome that the only way that I could identify my son was by his hand. But if you look at his son, he's an adorable little boy who's now fatherless because of the actions of one careless, negligent, undisciplined person. His actions have caused my family immense pain and suffering. I'm certain that by my faith that I have, I will heal. Parts of my heart may soften, but the pain of losing a child is not natural. So I will never feel whole without him. I encourage each of you today to never drive under the influence, to teach your children and your grandchildren the same, to use the cautionary tale of devastation that two families face today, one senselessly lost and the other one sent away. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you mind if I post my name?
You're fine, however you want to do it, ma'am. You are.
Thanks for putting it together. This is opportunity to see something. God has been completely shattered by the tragic death of my beloved husband. His death has left my son without a father who has brought us with us together. My husband was my life partner. His values were so, he changed my life in so many ways. His death is just feeling isolated in a room. My son and I will never know the joy of having him here to be a part of our life. His absence has created a void in our feelings that can really be filled. The pain and sorrow that I feel is unbearable. I can't wait with the knowledge that my husband is going that this is my head. The pain is so great. My husband is constantly in my son. The circumstances of his death are even more than the feeling. I was so sensitive to know. Not invite the speaking to someone else is irresponsible and electing to produce a drive while it's substitute and heartbreaking. I wish that. I don't get that. At first I heard about that, I wish that you could do it, my pain, I don't want that on you. I don't think you can handle it. There's nothing from the place that sometimes I wonder that I'm feeling dangerous. I don't think my life is that you could start with things that the thing to the whole reason I'm turning out to do.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Connie.
Reading this for Mr. Dennis Freeman, father of Devon Freeman. Aubrey Farley, I wonder if you've ever said his name. His name is Devon Freeman. All the son who I've loved more than all things and anything. We called him Devon, or called him Vaughn. His death shocked so many people, even one I've never seen or heard of, was coming up to me offering condolences. I found out my son touched a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people's lives. His life was not perfect, filled with trials and tribulations. Finally, he found his path, a passion and love, and by becoming an electrician, just like his dad. We talked a lot about electricity and what plans to start our own company. We got very close until you came along. Our families were so proud of him. For the first time in our life filled with problems, Vaughn was living the dream of becoming a success. There was so much joy in all our lives, so many smiles, enough to go around to us all. He finally made the decision to go in another direction in life. That one decision without family or the worry we had for him. A decision made by one can affect the lives of many. When you made the decision to get behind the wheel, you've done what you had to have done, changed many lives. On top of that, you decided to speak. Vaughn's mother is still suffering from all this. She was deeply depressed, and it was hard for her to even venture outside. She's usually a happy-go-lucky person, and now she barely says anything, and that bright smile of hers is gone. One decision has caused so much pain and grief to so many. Barely says anything, including your loved ones too. It was so selfish of you to die that night with Dr. Wood. You took 2 lives. We will never see our sons again. All we have left are memories. This hardly seems fair. I sometimes think I see them rushing through a crowd to get to somebody instead of realizing I never did. For some reason, God spared your life. You can still talk to and hug your loved ones. Our son cannot do that. I hope you have a higher power because you're going from this point. 15 years is a small price to pay.
The deputies could find out if that's a real. What? The what? I guess we just need to go ahead and exit. We don't need to, folks. We don't need to. If y'all can bear with the sound, we're told it's not. All right, Ms. Connie, if you will continue, please, ma'am.
15 years is a small price to pay for taking 2 lives. More than likely, you won't do all of that. Really? You really made out. God says thou shalt not kill. You've done it twice. In the eyes of God, there is your ultimate punishment awaits you. Once you've done your incarceration, you will have your life back and have a chance to hug your mom and dad and all your siblings. But my son won't. You've taken everything away from us. You lose nothing but a little time. And it doesn't seem fair. And just right now, I don't have a forgiving bone in my body. And the little time you spend behind bars, I hope you find time to ask your higher power for forgiveness, because you get none from me, not at the moment. You should feel a little lucky. 15 years for killing 2 people is hard for me to accept. I do not know what went on for you to get
such as we feel, but I hope and pray that you do realize the magnitude of your actions.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. All right, Mr. Farley, you're remanded to the custody of the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office. For further into the sentence, we'll need to take some thumbprints from you for the judgments. Good luck to you, sir. All right, that concludes the hearing. Folks, I wish all of y'all the best of luck and Godspeed.